Submission should not be taught to kids in a general class setting. And let me unpack this, but I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Some kids simply are not mature enough to handle that, learning that information, and dealing with it responsibly. So there are some kids that are 6, 7, that have a lot of maturity, that are very focused, and they're very responsible. I could teach those kids submissions and be okay with it and have them go out and compete. There are some 10, 11-year-old kids that are just emotionally very immature, and I do not trust them to learn submissions, and I would not teach it to them in a class setting. So this is something that doesn't go by age. Although obviously as kids get older, you would expect them to become more mature. But some kids basically, I don't trust them with that information, and because of that, I won't teach it to them in a general setting. And the other thing that it does too is if you teach submissions in a general class setting, it raises the injury risk for everybody, because not only are the more advanced kids in that class, if you're doing drills and you're having them roll, they're also going to be rolling with the kids that are newer. They may be exposing those kids to submissions that they've never seen before, and therefore they wouldn't tap in time or they wouldn't know when to stop. So it just raises the injury risk in the class. What I do for my kids' classes is my main class, Monday through Thursday, at least right now, my school is still relatively young, we do positional jiu-jitsu. So we do takedowns, we do guard, we do pin escapes, we do pins, we do transitions between pins. And those are important fundamental skills anyway that every grappler should know. And it's not that hard to tack on the submission element afterwards, after they've gotten basic competence in those skills, and after you as a coach know that they're mature enough to handle that information. So in my Friday class, my competition team class, that's what I do. I focus exclusively on submissions. It's a selective invite-only class where I pick out the kids that I believe can learn that material, use it responsibly, and not injure each other with it, right? So as a coach, that's something I would recommend. Don't introduce the submissions generally to every kid, especially to beginners that you haven't seen roll yet, that you haven't seen how they respond to when they've gotten beaten, how they respond to when they're losing, etc. Make sure you get a reasonable understanding of the kid's temperament and whether they can deal with the material before you teach it to them. Obviously, once you get to a certain age, like I would say about 12, 13, at that point, unless the parent tells me that the kid has, anger issues or anything like that, I would teach them submissions. I would put them in my teens and adults program. But for kids younger than that, it's definitely a case-by-case basis. So make sure you guys are being selective about who you teach submissions to. Some kids are just simply not mature enough to handle it. So short video, guys, but I think it's an important topic. And hopefully for those of you guys who are, maybe thinking about starting your own school or, starting a kids program or maybe have a kids program, this is something to think about. When is this material appropriate to teach the kids? Because not every kid is going to be ready to learn it, be ready to go out and do it in competition. This is something that should be done selectively. So thanks guys for watching. If you agree with what we said, make sure you share this video. If you don't, leave a comment, tell me why you disagree. Let's have a dialogue. And if you like the content in general that we produce, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you click that notification bell. That way you guys are notified every time we release a new video. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys next time.